I was invited to speak here tonight in early March, only a few weeks before my beautiful little girl arrived in this world. I decided to wait until then before writing my speech because I was convinced that in the moment she was born, I would become someone different, someone wiser, someone more mature. Obviously, that did not happen. And ironically, since she was born, I have not had much speech writing time. Fortunately, I did bring her with me. She's on the podium. I'm going to bring her out. What? No. She is, however, on a live satellite feed with a special message for the graduates, and I believe we will have subtitles for those of you who don't speak infant. Let's go to the satellite feed if we can. Good night, Peanut. No parties. Watching my wife deliver our little girl was the hardest thing I've ever seen anyone do, by far. Let me tell you something. You give your mother an extra long squeeze and a kiss tonight, and you tell her how much you love her because she has suffered. And she loves you in a way that the English language cannot adequately express. I expected Mrs. G to leap out of bed afterward and kill the Hydra. This, of course, has robbed me of any leverage I might have had in avoiding work around the house for eternity. If I complain about raking leaves, Mrs. Gillette can just hold up the baby. I'm sorry? What was that? Yeah. Talk to the baby. If I raked the Amazon rainforest with a pocket comb, we still would not be even. Sometimes when I stare at my daughter's head and start to puzzle over the dimensions, I just unconsciously start cleaning stuff, tidying up. Many people have asked why we decided to name our little girl Georgia. Years ago, Mrs. Gillette and I took in a stray cat, and we named him George. George was cooler than virtually every human being I have ever known. In the fall of 2009, George became ill, and on September 19th, in the middle of the night, he passed away as we stood over him, stroking his whiskers. We grieved for him like our child, furry child that licked himself. True. But frankly, I always admired those two attributes. And so we named our only child after our cat. If you're thinking to yourself, G is mental, I'm sure you're not alone. And maybe you're right. And here's my point. I couldn't care less. The judgment of others is meaningless if you are living by your own convictions. People will criticize your taste in music, the clothes you wear, the way you speak, the things you eat, and the philosophy by which you live your life. It's inevitable. And if they judge you because you worship Justin Bieber, shave your head, bathe your dog with your tongue, and wear man-Uggs to school, and don't let them get you down, Lincoln. Listen to what others have to say, but listen most of all to your inner voice. I have seen the three horsemen of the apocalypse of the soul, and their names are self-consciousness, conformity, and repression. Maybe the most profound thing about becoming a father is that I have gained perspective. Georgia is, to quote John McClane from the movie Die Hard, the best thing that ever happened to a bum like me. She's crystallized for me what's truly important, and all the rest of it's just malarkey. The things that used to get me rattled, I don't even care about anymore. The outcome of a silly sporting event? Pointless. Someone cuts me off in traffic? Go ahead, friend. All this fussy personal hygiene business? Waste of time. A student blatantly texting in my class? That's where I draw the line. Got lots of shiny new perspective, but there are limits. Really, though, you've heard the saying before, don't sweat the petty stuff, and don't pet the sweaty stuff. I think the Reverend Keith Skank said that. Or, as my grandfather used to say to uptight, neurotic people, relax, you'll live longer. Part of this new perspective is that I find myself thinking more of the future and imagining the world in which Georgia will grow up. To be honest, my vision of this world makes me a little nervous. It is a world obsessed with profit and so-called progress, a world where, according to the late scientist Carl Sagan, we put devastating power into the hands of the highest bidder. We need to put an end to intergenerational tyranny, that is, the abuse of younger generations by those who come before. And I'm not talking about challenging my 5-year-old nephew to a kickboxing match. That's just good entertainment. What I mean is the compulsion we have shown in all jurisdictions to hoard and pillage with zero regard for what will be left for our children and grandchildren. My greatest hope for all of you is that you represent a generational trigger for realigning our cultural priorities. I hope you recognize the folly and futility in the worship of the almighty dollar and the quest to accumulate ever more stuff. I hope you see that the people of this world are not competitors or opponents to vanquish or enemies that exist to make strife and argument your reason for being. I hope you strip away all the needless baggage that this world heaves upon your shoulders and live a life of simplicity, a life of purpose and reflection and serenity, one in which the song of the crickets crowds out the incessant buzzing and hissing of technology. I hope. I leave you tonight with a few lines of poetry from Pablo Neruda. Libro, déjame andar por los caminos, con polvo en los zapatos y sin mitología. Vuelve a tu biblioteca, yo me voy por las calles. He aprendido la vida de la vida. El amor lo aprendí de un solo beso. Y no pude enseñar a nadie nada, sino lo que he vivido. Originally, I was not going to translate that. I thought it would have been mysterious, but I will translate. I'm on my way with dust on my shoes, free of mythology. Send books back to their shelves. I'm going down into the streets. I learned about life from life itself. Love I learned in a single kiss and could teach no one anything except that I have lived. Life will be your greatest teacher in this world. Learn from your life. Love your life. Teaching you, knowing you, it's been an honor. Outstanding senior classes have come and gone over my 11 years as a teacher at Fairport, but you guys will forever be the most important to me in ways you could never understand. My life began this year, and in so many of you, I see the walking embodiment of what I hope my daughter will someday become. I will never forget the class of 2011.